The part of the game. We'll have more on that in just a moment, and then that would lead to this Hail Mary last opportunity. Tyler Gabriel, who's up and down, mostly good, knocked down in the end zone.
They see you, Dylan.
But hold everything just one moment here. I said Tyler Gabriel. Of course, it's Dylan Gabriel, I should have said. But the Vikings had called a timeout there before the ball was snapped. And so it's Gabriel again, this time trying to throw a completion. But the clock runs out before they're able to get another play snapped. Carson Wentz and the Vikings come away with a hard-fought win. 21-17 is your final score there. A game with so many different storylines. Again, Addison begins the game on the bench, winds up catching the game-winning touchdown. What exactly happened there? Adam Schefter.
Well, Greeny, Jordan Addison didn't play at all during the first quarter. The Vikings say it was a coaching decision. They're in London. A lot of people believe that it could be having something to do with a curfew violation. Kevin O'Connell is about to talk, but Jordan Addison, who did not play the first 3 games of the season due to an NFL suspension, returned last week, didn't play the first quarter today, but managed to catch the game-winning touchdown pass.
For them, so many storylines here. The Vikings going across the pond. They lose last week in tough fashion. Now they bounce back with a win here behind Carson Wentz. That's one part of the story. The other part, of course, is the performance of the rookie, Dylan Gabriel, the third-round pick, and all of the controversy that we saw there. What do we say about his performance today?
I thought both these quarterbacks played well today. Listen, the defenses were the story of this game. Both these defenses looked like they were going to overpower, especially these quarterbacks that, again, one making his first start. Carson Wentz has been so up and down throughout his career. But I thought Dylan Gabriel looked decisive. Again, didn't turn the ball over, got the ball out of his hands. And again, this offensive line has struggled. Again, the Minnesota defense, Brian Flores, presents so many problems for a young quarterback. And again, this guy looked control for making his first start. I think a lot to like if you're a Cleveland fan.
Yeah, I mean, all it is when you go against that Brian Flores defense, he's 10-1 against rookie quarterbacks now. This kid was outstanding, I thought.
Right.
I mean, he managed the game well. I mean, no turnovers. I think he got sacked maybe once or twice the whole game. But he looked in control, and by the way, accurate. Like he was spot on. Him and that the big tight end that you love so much, that Njoku.
Njoku.
Holy cow, they look good. And this is the first time all season we can say that this offense actually was entertaining to watch.
Yes, it was. You know, one thing about it is you want, all this talk about the rookie, quarterback in Gabriel and him seeing this Brian Flores defense. We all thought he was going to really struggle. But I think one thing that you'll take from this game is you've seen this rookie. He grew from it. And one thing about it, he's not going to face a defense like this every week. So I like what I saw today.
Yeah, especially rushers like Malik Collins, who was getting, I'm going to the other side with Carson Wentz here, because that defense was after him. And Carson Wentz looked bad at times, but to finish the way he finished and get that touchdown pass to Addison the way he did. Wentz, that's all we want. You're a backup quarterback. Go out there when the game's on the line. Can you get it done? Wentz got it done today.
Didn't turn the ball over either.
Yeah. So what are the Minnesota Vikings? They sit there now at this stage. They're in a division where the Lions look like they are as good as ever. The Green Bay Packers, they haven't maybe looked as good as we'd like them to, but they certainly feel like a legitimate Super Bowl contender. What exactly are the Vikings?
Well, look, Kevin O'Connell is outstanding. He's about as good a coach as there is in this league, and he finds a way to get it done. This is with a quarterback to politely say a journeyman quarterback, they're still finding ways to move that ball offensively. And I don't know, I just think their defense with Brian Flores, that style of defense is going to be good. So they're going to still have a shot. Look, remember last year they won, 13 games or 14 games?
14 games.
In the regular season. So you certainly can't count this team
one
out.
thing that really stood out to me watching this game at the beginning, you heard me talking the 3-hour show about the number 1 wide receiver. I like the way they moved Justin Jefferson early in this game. They had him at tight end, they had him in the slot, they had him at running back. So going forward, I like what the Vikings is doing with a backup quarterback.
Listen, it's a good win for Minnesota, but what they are remains to be seen. Obviously, they have an elite defense, but when J.J. McCarthy gets back, right, he's had 8 quarters, 7 of them haven't looked pretty good. We just talked at length about the guy playing quarterback in Seattle that was there last year, Sam Darnold. You got to think, you got to wonder what this team looks very different with him at the helm, and they obviously let him walk. I don't know. Obviously, when J.J. comes back, what they are at that point still is an unknown.
As much time as Carson Wentz can buy this kid to get healthy and the defense can help Carson Wentz, this is what it's all about. And you hung on today and you got to win, which is great. How healthy is JJ now? How good can JJ be? The defense has got to help. But that's where Minnesota is. I mean, this isn't one of the best teams in football or anything like that. This is one that is figuring themselves out, but they're still able to get wins, which is
guys are still able to get wins with a ton of injuries on that offensive line as well. So I think when they get fully healthy, look, there's a reason they let Sam Darnold go. This organization has extreme confidence in J.J. McCarthy. So we'll see if it's warranted or not.
Let's pick up that thought with Adam Schefter here as we take a look at where they are with J.J. McCarthy and his return. Shefty.
Greeny, when J.J. McCarthy suffered his high ankle sprain, the expectation was that he would be back after the bye to come back at that point in time. Keep in mind, they also play the teeth of
for a field goal on that drive. Gabriel, 13 of 21, 102 yards, a touchdown. He's run for 5 yards. He's had a few plays called back. And the game is available for you right now on NFL Network. Dillon Gabriel, of course, the latest quarterback to start for the Browns since they returned to the NFL in 1999. There's no way to keep up with all of the names that they've had since they've been there.
That's not possible.
He is their 41st different starting quarterback, by far the most for any team in that span. Kuvan has now used multiple starters in 5 straight seasons. So quickly, let's touch on what we've seen so far. We've been doing the show, so obviously not paying incredibly close attention, but so far so good for the rookie in his first start.
Yeah, he's looked efficient, right? He's got the ball out of his hands. He's only taken 1 sack, hasn't turned the ball over, hasn't put it in harm's way. He's got the ball to his playmakers, and they're in this game.
Meanwhile, the fact that he is starting is obviously a significant story. There have been very few situations like the one in Cleveland this year where they draft him in the 3rd round and then they draft Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round. And the immediate reaction here, Rex, from you was the fact that Dillon Gabriel is the starter and Joe Flacco is the backup is interesting.
Yeah, because it shouldn't happen that way. Joe Flacco, can't get it done anymore. So bring Shedeur Sanders up with the young kid, the lefty, and now your first and second team are the young quarterbacks. That's what we want to see. And make no mistake, Alex, we talked about this yesterday. You said there's 2 first-round picks that they have next year, right?
Yep.
So this is about, let's see what we have. Are one of these guys going to be our quarterback moving forward?
Right.
And to me, look, I was saying something about Shedeur Sanders. And to me, I just know this kid has so much ability that I want to see him out there like anybody else.
Yeah.
And why the hell he's not out there, it
makes no sense.
It makes absolutely no sense to me.
It makes no sense.
No sense.
You hit the nail on the head, Rex. This year, the rest of this year should be finding out if either of these kids can be a starting quarterback, right? And the fact that he's not bumped up to backup, something's off. Something's wrong, right? Again, given his ability, his track record, where they're at right now as a team, as a QB room with Joe Flacco, again, I don't understand why this guy's not the backup and ready to roll in case something happens.
And how important is the quarterback room?
Man, listen,
I always looked at the quarterback room as it's just like this kumbaya sort of. These guys come out of here and they're arm in arm, holding hands and all this stuff. They sit right next to each other in the front row. They do all these things together. And Cleveland messed this quarterback room up on draft day, in my opinion. I mean, you draft a kid high in Dillon Gabriel, then you draft not only a competitor but a pretty good quarterback in terms of Shedeur Sanders. So they're confused and they're competing. So how is it working? And you also have Joe Flacco in there. I don't know how much mentoring Joe Flacco is doing because he knows he's on his last leg. He's on his way out. And these guys are probably as old as some of his kids are. So some of this quarterback room is, I don't want to say dysfunctional, but it is not the way the normal quarterback room I'm used to seeing in the National Football League locker room.
Go ahead.
Well, we don't know what the quarterback room is crazy because there's a name y'all left out of there, and that's Deshaun Watson. He's still a quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. But one thing that I'll say, talking about a young guy like Shedeur Sanders, there's a lot of guys or a lot of fans that he wooed and wowed, through preseason. A lot of people rooting for him, and nobody has seen him play yet. Right now, it is Dillon Gabriel's turn. Has Dillon Gabriel, from what we've seen so far over in London, has he disappointed us?
No.
So far, so good.
So the question I'm saying, I don't care if it's Dillon Gabriel backing up Shedeur, or Shedeur's backing up Dillon Gabriel. Whenever your opportunity comes, you better be ready, because if there's any type of microscopic lens looking on Cleveland, the quarterback position is the main position.
The one thing I see out of Dillon Gabriel in this game right here, He's protecting the team, which has not happened even with Joe Flacco and all that experience he had. He did not protect the team. His defense is outstanding. This kid seems like he understands it. And I will say one other thing. If you're a quarterback, you lead from the front of the building, not the back of the building. I don't care who you are. And so that to me might be the reason we're seeing this right
Tell
here.
him, Coach.
Real quick, there's a reason why Myles Garrett we talked about getting traded. All right, it was last year during the Super Bowl, I think it was. If I'm a veteran defensive player, any player in that locker room, I'm just like, please, figure this out by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Is it Shedeur? Is it Gabriel?
Yeah.
Who's it going to be? Or are both of them out of here and we're using these picks? It's got to be something.
That win over Green Bay may have also given some of them the idea they could be a playoff team this year. Adam Schefter, there were so many different layers to this story. Help us with it.
Well, we also have the Browns up against the Vikings today in a matchup in which the Vikings were going with their backup quarterback, Carson Wentz, who had replaced J.J. McCarthy, who's dealing with a high ankle sprain. Now, Carson Wentz has gone to the locker room at halftime with an injured shoulder. He's questionable to return. We very well may see Max Brosmer play quarterback for the Vikings in the second half up against Dillon Gabriel as he makes his first start with the Browns and becomes the 41st quarterback to start a game for the Cleveland Browns since 1999, Greeny.